UFC Orlando. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Main event, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. We got a damn good card to talk about. We're going to talk about each of the matchups after seeing the fighters on the scales. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you're new, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And let's get into the first fight of the night. It is between Yazmin Jauregui versus Istela Nunes. You know, I've been loosely on the Istela Nunes side throughout the week, and I will admit I don't think she looked bad on the scales. Jauregui obviously in good shape too. I do have the image from the face-off here, and you can see pretty similar stature. I would say a little bit more leanness towards the Jauregui side. If she chooses to grapple, this is where I'll be significantly more worried about the side of Istela Nunes. But in a more stand-up battle fight, I think she can be very competitive from distance, especially with Jauregui. I'm thinking close decision, goes the distance. I'll call it split. Istela Nunes, split decision win. As far as the odds for the fight, they're strongly favoring Jauregui. And I've had people say Jauregui is a lock this week, but personally, I think she's way too big of a favorite. It's plus 279 best value for the dog side, and then Jauregui at minus 300. If you're looking to maybe prop something up here, I still think you're risking it. Like, I think your better attack would be Nunes to win money line, or even you could touch a win by decision for Nunes here. I do think they're probably going that over 2.5. It's minus 210. Not my favorite of lines. And this fight here overall, just not, you know, one of your better spots to bet in. I think it's a risky matchup no matter what side you're on. Yeah, the odds are really strong towards one person, but I think Istela Nunes could be a fairly live underdog, and I am going to ride with her to pull off a wild upset here against the undefeated Jauregui. But we shall see when that cage door closes, and if you are betting Nunes, don't go crazy on the side. And I don't think you should go too nuts with Jauregui either, because we're going to find out a ton in this matchup here. So let's keep running up the card and get to our second fight. Next matchup features Francis Marshall and Marcelo Rojo. I've been riding with Francis Marshall to get the win over Rojo, who's coming in off the Contender Series. Got a good win there, has some wrestling. I feel like his stand-up game's pretty solid too. But as far as the scales, did anything change? Both guys coming in good shape. There's nothing substantial about the face-off that would make you really want to flip-flop either way. So I am going to tell you guys straight out, I'm sticking with the pick on the Marshall side. Rojo across from him definitely does not go down easy, and I do think he's going to make it a hard fight. Stature-wise, these guys are pretty similar. I do think Rojo is going to bring pressure with the stand-up game, and I do think he's going to look to hit hard shots on Francis Marshall striking, which I do feel like set up takedowns for Marshall. Risky one if you're betting. I'm going to ride Marshall on a decision, but I'm not crazy about throwing down off a guy. Just came off Contender, is only 23. He's so young. As far as the odds here, it's minus 170 range for Francis Marshall, and then Rojo upwards of plus 149. I like Francis Marshall by a decision. If you have to play it, maybe the play would be over 1.5 rounds at minus 160, because I do think it goes over 1.5 rounds. Win for Marshall via decision, plus 300 range. But yeah, personally, I wouldn't touch it. The Marshall money line or the prop. I would rather just sit out. Maybe you play that over 1.5. I do think there's a good chance that these guys go into the later stages of this fight, at least that third round or towards the end of the second. So I like over 1.5 more than anything, but I'm picking Francis Marshall to get himself a win in this fight against Marcelo Rojo. I do think it could be a potential banger, though. Depends on how the takedowns are stuffed by Rojo and how the stand-up match is off. I just think riskier betting spot if you're going Marshall. Natan, Levy, and Genaro, Valdéz. I'm hype as hell to see these two throw down. I like the pressure brawler style of Genaro Valdéz. I've been picking him throughout the week to beat the karate-based striker Natan Levy, who does have some smooth submissions on the mat and can definitely work well on the floor. I think Valdéz is going to be able to compete as far as scrambling and being defensive with takedown attempts from Levy. Striking, I think he's a power advantage, and I think he's got a boxing edge. And in close range, it's all him. And I think he will find the chin of Natan Levy. I'm riding with Genaro Valdéz to get the win by knockout. I have been all week. As far as seeing these guys on the scales here, we'll bring it up. little bit more leanness towards Natan Levy. I do think he's the more physically imposing guy. But this is not bodybuilding. This is a fist fight. And I think Genaro Valdéz is going to make him work with the hands and do some damage on the feet. And I think he can bust up, drop, and stop Natan Levy. I've been picking against Natan for a very long time, and I do think there's ways to beat him. I felt like he could have lost to Mike Breeden. Granted, I do think he won that fight on a fair decision, but there was moments for Mike Breeden. I think Valdéz is a good step up from that. And for Valdéz on the other side, I mean, he recently fought Frivola, who's a beast, and I don't think this matchup is anywhere near that caliber. Valdéz, the brawler, should shine in this fight, and I do think we're going to have a damn fun one to watch. As far as the odds, Valdéz, the dog, he's my dog of the week. I like him a lot here, around plus 178, and then Levy on the other side in that minus 200 range. I think Valdéz is getting the knockout too. I think he's going to sleep Natan Levy, and he's going to close that gap and hit him with big power shots. Valdéz KO upwards of plus 420, so consider playing that one right there, sprinkling that prop. Lucky number 420 between Genaro Valdéz and Natan Levy. I'm riding with Genaro to get himself a knockout win. Let's keep running up the card. I'll tell you this right now. Tracy Cortez and the Ribas. The fight is off. It's so unfortunate. I was actually really looking forward to these ladies going after it. I was picking Ribas to win. And I even liked maybe sprinkling that sub prop for Ribas at plus 600. Fight off, not happening. Cortez side ends up pulling out, and we're not going to get to see it just yet. Maybe sometime soon, maybe early in the new year. We shall find out, but it's not happening on Saturday. Let's keep running up. Next matchup is Darren Elkins and Jonathan Pearce, JSP. I like JSP here, but I will tell you the line's crazy wide, and Darren Elkins is a fucking junkyard dog brawler, a guy who has great wrestling. It's good wrestling, but it's great as far as how he does against the lower tier. He comes back. He's so resilient. Like, the dude truly is going through hell in fights and just somehow digs himself out of a super deep hole and gets wins. And guys think they're going to stop him. They gas themselves. JSP's a guy comfortable winning decisions. But I will mention to you, I think there's always trouble with picking against Darren Elkins, and he'll make you feel stupid when you pick against him at a line this wide. JSP's a big money favorite. I know people like the Elkins side. I think JSP should beat him. I think he's going to be too athletic. The wrestling should be a factor. But Darren Elkins is a junkyard dog. Let me see what the lines are looking like here. The face-off, I mean, it doesn't change much. It's a Darren Elkins face-off. Jonathan Pearce is minus 475. Elkins plus 375. These odds are terrible here. This should be minus 200 at most, in my opinion. Pearce to win via decision, which is my official pick, plus 205. What's Elkins to win decision? Plus 900 upwards, but around plus 700. Elkins' money line is wide too, plus 375. I do think it probably goes over that round and a half at minus 160. The more I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, the dog betting side is more calling my name because it's not like Elkins look like shit on the scale. He's in shape and he's ready to fight. I still am going to pick the side of JSP because I don't like that flip-flop. But I'm telling you, something about Elkins is getting me concerned about JSP. I'm picking JSP to win, but he's way too wide of a favorite to really want to go crazy heavy at. And I don't really love the prop side either, and I understand the Darren Elkins dog money. But JSP, I think, gets it on the cards here. I think he's going to win a hard-fought decision, and Elkins will make him look bad and make it a harder fight than I think some people are anticipating here. But yeah, we'll still ride with JSP to get his hand raised over the OG of OGs and Darren Elkins. Next fight on the card. Oh, this is a good one, and I have a lot to say about this one, too. It's Michael Johnson and Marc Diakiese. Listen, the pick has been Marc Diakiese all week, and my confidence is way up. Michael Johnson looks in mediocre shape on the scale. I don't believe this is primed Michael Johnson. The muscle tone looks less. The leanness looks less. He doesn't seem to be at that same level. I don't know how hard he's training. I'm not for sure that this is Michael Johnson at even 80%. Like, he looks like a very diminished version of himself, in my opinion. I wasn't impressed by what I saw physically at all. And then the face-off, they were kind of jawing a bit back and forth. You know, Michael Johnson kind of heating things up, as, you know, he's kind of known for. We'll pull up the face-off here. You can see them. And I mean, you can't see the stomach of Michael Johnson. It's not like he has a gut like, you know, a dad bod. But for a guy who was pretty shredded up for a while, he definitely has more visible fat around the stomach. I don't think he looks very muscular anywhere else. And I know it's not a physique show, but having prime conditioning, I think, is a big factor. And Diakiese looks in incredible shape. Expect him to be able to outpace and out-wrestle Michael Johnson for 3 rounds and maybe even do some work on the feet. There's definitely a chance Diakiese gets to finish here. Michael Johnson, I think at this point, just looks like a 45er who's not cutting a ton of weight. I know he's long and tall, but there's not a great amount of muscle, and he doesn't look super lean. I don't like what I saw from Michael Johnson on the scales at all, and I think he's going to lose. And I think there's a shot that Marc Diakiese stops him, but I'm having a very blurred vision as far as like how he would get it done inside of the distance. Diakiese minus 315, Johnson plus 265. So if I'm looking to throw on Diakiese, obviously money line's your best bet. He's a very confident pick, especially after the face-offs. And also looking at Diakiese to win inside of the distance. What is the line for that? Plus 240. An out-of-shape Michael Johnson. Listen, Michael Johnson can always strike, but I do think Diakiese could wear on him with the grappling, and maybe he finds his first TKO win with ground and pound, like Mark Coleman style when he's punching your face into the canvas. I'm going to pick Diakiese to win. Money line, best bet. I think inside distance could be something, and I'd lean at KO TKO, which is around plus 310. If Diakiese got a sub, that'd be crazy. That's plus 1,400 in some books. Diakiese is known more for the striking, but he's become a wrestler as of recent. But it wouldn't blow my mind if Diakiese wins by decision, but I do think there's a chance of a finish. So I don't think it's a bad idea to maybe consider an inside distance sprinkle Diakiese. Though the value's not incredible, it's still playable. And I also love money line Marc Diakiese. Parlay, absolutely. We'll talk parlays at the end. I think he's got Michael Johnson in trouble here with this fight. Next fight on the card, Clay Guida versus Scott Holtzman. I've been picking Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman throughout, and Clay Guida didn't stand still at all through the face-off. So if Clay Guida looks a little bit shorter than normal, it's just because he's dipping left, right. Like he looks about 5'3" there. He's shifted to one side. There's not this big of a size difference, but Scott Holtzman is a little bit bigger, definitely more visible muscle tone. Granted, this fight here, Clay Guida, I think, is past a certain point. Scott Holtzman, I don't know if he's past that point. He's got 2 bad back-to-back losses, and now he's fighting an OG in Clay Guida. This is a really weird fight, but I think Scott Holtzman's going to shine in this matchup. I think he's going to have a striking advantage. I think he'll match the wrestling of Clay, and I think he's nastier and close. I'm going to go Scott Holtzman to win by decision and beat the veteran Clay Guida, and I'm pretty confident that he can pull this thing out, and the line's not crazy. Minus 158, minus 160. Clay Guida plus 155. I don't love the idea of the prop side here. I would rather just money line at Scott Holtzman. But if you are looking at a prop, Holtzman to win by decision is plus 185. By knockout is plus 385. But yeah, we'll ride with Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman to get the win. There was a moment there where Scott Holtzman's son is like getting handed a bottle of hot sauce from Clay Guida. Weird moment, man. Weird. I don't know. It's just odd to me. I'm like, your son's there as you're doing the face-off with the guy you're about to go to war with tomorrow, and they're handing hot sauce over. It's pretty funny. But I think Hot Sauce gets his win. And Clay Guida, handed the hot sauce to his son that gave him even more power. I don't know. I think he's gonna work on Clay Guida here, man. I think Clay is always tough, but he's past a certain point, and I think Scott Holtzman has less miles. So I'll pick Holtzman decision win in this fight. Next fight, Angela Hill and Emily Ducote. I have been riding Angela Hill to get the win on the cards all week long. And now we'll pull up the face-off between these two ladies here. There they go. Not much of a size difference. You'll see that. It's pretty close. Ducote's like a little shorter. Yeah, Angela Hill has the braids, they give her 6 inches. But actual height, they're pretty close. 5'2" to 5'3". Angela Hill from distance is pretty quick, though, and Ducote's going to be more compact and powerful. I think Angela Hill wins a hard-fought decision here. It's not great odds, even if you're betting dog side Angela Hill, because she's sitting at plus 112, Ducote minus 130. Plus 112 is not great plus money for a fight that I do think is a real coin flip, but even though I'm picking Angie, Ducote's game. She's on the come up, has a little momentum coming with that UFC debut win where she picked apart Jessica Penne. I think Angela Hill can do it on a very close decision, though. Recently, Amanda Lemos is a name that comes to mind who's a straight killer. And let's be honest, that was a close fight with Angela Hill. Hill by a decision, if you were looking to sprinkle that, I mean, how else does she win? Plus 165. If it's anything less than plus 165, don't even play it. Don't even consider playing. Don't even give it to the books on that because plus 115 is shit. That makes no sense to me. If she's plus 109, then just plus 115 for decision. At least give us a little something. I'm going win, decision, Angela Hill. Okay money line, okay prop, not great value, and it's a hard fight for her. So not the best dog of the week, but I do think Angela Hill gets her hand raised in a very close fight, which you might sweat if it's going the distance here, which it's gonna. It's going all three. Over the over 2.5, let me quickly bring up. You know what? Let me read that in. I wasn't planning to, but we'll read it in. Yeah, it's minus fucking 380. That's why I wasn't reading it. Not worth it. Not worth it. Next fight on the card is the featured prelim. It's Niko Price and Phil Rowe. My confidence for Niko Price is way up, man. Phil Rowe came in not necessarily out of shape, but off weight, right? And he looked real drained and sucked out at the weigh-ins. And then the face-off, it was fucking cringy, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hate on Phil Rowe. I think he's a decent fighter. And I know he's trying to bring some personality and shit like that. But I don't know what he was doing with the glasses and like pulling them down. Look at this here. And he was like looking at him like, I don't know. It was like, are you checking him out or are you facing off with him? I don't know what the intention was for Phil Rowe there. I know he's trying to do something different, but I think just a nice face-off would have been good. But I guess it got us talking about him. So you know what? Good for Phil Rowe. But he missed weight, which is not a good thing and something you don't want to talk about. Niko Price, though, he looks in best condition, period, maybe his whole career. Like, I think this Niko Price is going to come out looking better than he ever has. I think he's going to knock Phil Rowe out. I'm going KO. I'm actually getting more confident on Niko Price, seeing how good his conditioning is here. He looks in incredible shape, and I really think he's putting the work in. And the line's not crazy. Minus 125, plus 115 for the Rowe side. I think you go Niko Price, man. Line's pretty damn close. It was wider earlier in the week. A lot of people are on that Phil Rowe dog side, but I think he gets stunned with punches and put unconscious, man. I think Niko Price can sleep him. And I mean, he could sub him too. Price by KO, plus 200. I just like that Price money line. I think he's going to get it done. If Price wins, I think it could be finish or decision, whereas with Rowe, I think it would be a lot more so likely that he would win on the cards here. I'm going to pick Niko Price, though, knockout win, and I think he's a good money line bet. We're riding with Niko to get it done. I'm feeling good about him, and I like how he looked on the scales. This is a real fit, shredded, and motivated Niko Price. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. It's Eric Anders and Kyle Daukaus going after it. I'm riding with Kyle Daukaus to win. He does have a bit of the advantage in the height. You'll see it here as I bring it up. I do think it looks a little more substantial because there might be shoes on there. But there's about 2 inches for sure. 6'3" to 6'1", that could be legit. I think they both might have their shoes on. But either way, Kyle Daukaus is the taller guy. Anders probably the physically stronger guy. You can see he's a more dense individual, but I don't think that necessarily matters here. I think speed is all Daukaus. I think if there's a submission, it's Daukaus. I think Kyle Daukaus has a bit of a level above Anders as far as his abilities, but also his just physical capabilities, being more athletic and quick, whereas Anders, he does have some power, but really has a hard time consistently finding it. I'm going to pick Kyle Daukaus to win. I'm leaning that decision, though. I think he gets it done on the cards. It's not an easy fight with Eric Anders. It never is, but I do think Daukaus shines here. As far as the odds, minus 226, Daukaus, Anders around plus 200. I like Kyle Daukaus to win. I do think we're probably going later. Over 2.5 is minus 170. And then to win by decision for Daukaus, plus 155. We're picking Kyle Daukaus to get his hand raised. I like him a lot here. I think he's going to win. And I feel like it's a good fight with him and Eric Anders. And it makes a lot of sense for both of them at this point of their careers. And one's going to be sent far back, especially for Anders. If he loses, this is a rough spot. Daukaus, I think he's only getting better at just 29. Anders, 35. He's maintaining at the very best. And I mean, there's a chance of even decline. Daukaus for the win. I'm going to say decision. Money line it would be your best go. Because props could be tricky there because he could lock something up. But I like Daukaus a lot. Next fight on the card, Jack Hermansson and Roman Dolidze. Jack Hermansson looked in shape, man. He looked shredded as hell. We'll pull up the face-off here. I've been picking Jack Hermansson throughout the week. And you look opposite him. You have Dolidze, who actually came in looking big, man. Dolidze looks big. Tall, too. He's got a little bit of that height edge. I will say he's got shoes on. Hermansson's in sandals. Reach slightly favors Hermansson. I think technical striking, it goes Hermansson. Power, Dolidze. Jiu-jitsu, competitive. Wrestling, competitive. This is a real fight, man. And Dolidze's coming in on short notice is a huge opportunity. I'm going to say Jack Hermansson's got too much high-level experience, and he's going to be able to win this fight. Hard-fought decision over Roman Dolidze, who's very game and on the come-up for sure. I mean, he's not a young guy necessarily at 34, but middleweight's a weird weight class, right? It's similar to light heavyweight or heavyweight. You can come in later, and taking less miles in your younger years, you're able to then fight later on into the career. Dolidze, though, this is a huge chance to push into the rankings. Short notice opportunity. I got to respect Hermansson too for taking the fight on short notice. Like, he was emotional when he made weight. He was really happy that he pulled it off. It wasn't an easy cut, it seems like. I'm going to pick Hermansson by decision. Roman Dolidze looking to showcase what he's got here, but I think Hermansson gets the hand raised. Minus 185 Hermansson. Dolidze plus 175. As far as props, I think even over-unders. Your best, the over. That's it. Minus 145, minus 135, over 2.5 is a good play. Hermansson to win, minus 175. And I do think Hermansson via decision is likely here at plus 145. I like Jack the Joker Hermansson to win. And I think he beats the short notice replacement, who's a damn savage middleweight, in Roman Dolidze coming in. I like this fight a lot. Next fight on the card. Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich. I've been picking Sergey Pavlovich throughout the entire week. He came in at 255. Tuivasa on the opposite side, 266. He's cutting weight to make that limit, and I love it about Tuivasa. He's a thick boy, you know what I'm saying? He's got that gut on him. He don't need to be shredded to knock these big boys out, and he can compete with the top guys, man. Listen, the face-off, Ty looks confident. Pavlovich is not shredded out. I mean, neither is Ty. Physiques aren't winning the fight here. I think it's going to end inside of the distance. Somebody's going unconscious. Fan side of me is like, yo, come on, give me Ty. Pick side of me is going to be Pavlovich. So I'll tell you guys this. For certain, we'll end up doing a shoey on the stream when we hit a certain amount of likes for the fight companion, so make sure you tune into it. But if Tuivasa gets a KO, I rip a shoey for Ty. Absolutely. So I'm picking Pavlovich, but I do feel like he's in a real fight. Tuivasa is game. My concern has been, and I've been saying this since this fight got announced when I did the reaction video to the news, I don't like the idea of Tuivasa taking this quick turnaround after really absorbing a lot of fucking damage against Ciryl Gane. There was a serious amount of shots that landed, high kicks that he ate. That's a lot of shots. Like, that's a lot of trauma. That's a lot of potential damage, right? That's definitely a concussion. A serious one. And to turn around in 3 months and fight a power puncher is really a dangerous task. I think Pavlovich can find the KO too, and it doesn't hurt that he has a crazy reach advantage of 9 inches. Yes, he's got 84 inches in reach. He's got the longest active fighter reach in the UFC. Only guy with a longer reach, period. John Jones and I believe Stefan Struve at 84.5. But yeah, I'm going to pick Sergey Pavlovich to get the hand raised, and I am going to say KO, but ends inside of the distance, I think, is the lock here. Odds, minus 225, Pavlovich, plus 190, Tuivasa, under 2.5 rounds. What are we sitting at? Minus 450. Under 1.5 at minus 210. You know, these boys might surprise you and get into the end of the second round or even the third here. But we're going to pick Pavlovich to win. The KO prop on Pavlovich, I don't love. It's minus 125. Nothing should be minus 125 for a KO against Tuivasa. No way. Not even Pavlovich with that power. I do think it's a little wide of the line, but we're working against Tuivasa taking this fight on very short notice. This is one of the fights which is weird. If they were at full capacity, if we knew Ty had 6 months of recovery and he's fighting Pavlovich, it's a different fight. But turning around fast, there's some intangibles, man, and I think that they're ultimately going to end up panning out, and he's going to pay. I'm going Pavlovich, KO win over the fan favorite heavyweight, Tai Tuivasa. Let's keep running up and let's get to our featured bout. It's Matthias Nicolau and Matt Schnell. Schnell, respect this guy. He shaved his head because he was off by half a pound at the weigh-ins. Comes in bald, on weight, no issues. He's fighting Nicolau here. I think it's a good fight. I'm picking Nicolau to win. I have been all week long. The scales is not something that I think of a substantial matter unless somebody really came like way over, but no one did. I mean, Schnell made the weight with the haircut. There's the face-off there. Respectful, similar statures, a little bit of height for Schnell. I think Nicolau can catch him with looping punches, and I also think he has a big grappling advantage. I'm going to pick Nicolau to win. I'm actually going to pick it by submission over Matt Schnell. I do think there's a good chance that he catches him in something, but ultimately, like Matt Schnell's style of pressure fighting and, you know, take one, land one, absorb a shit ton of damage and come back is so admirable, and like I honestly really enjoy watching him fight, and this is a good test for Nicolau because if he beats Matt Schnell, that's a good name to have on the resume, and I do think big things coming forward. I mean, he's already a top flyweight in the world. Big opportunities on the horizon because this is like a fight where he can really showcase, and I think he's going to look impressive. I think a finish for Nicolau, and I think people start to know his name now, and, you know, they're going to find out that he's pretty top caliber, man. He's a real big favorite around minus 350. Matt Schnell in that plus 320 range. I like Nicolau to get his hand raised. Nicolau to win via sub, I'm going to call it. It's plus 350 for that prop. But the money line attack, not a bad idea, but especially more of a parlay piece than anything, I will say, because it is a little wide to throw down just straight money line. But Nicolau hand raise beats Matt Schnell in this fight. Let's get to the co-main event. Rafael dos Anjos versus Bryan Barberena. I'm going to be picking Rafael dos Anjos. I think he's going to win. I think he's probably going to grind Barberena out, but it wouldn't blow my mind if he won by sub. Barberena's a banger. He comes with straight combos, flurries, and just constant punching. He's a southpaw. He's a tricky guy to deal with. Dos Anjos on the other side, though, has seen every look, and I think the grappling advantage is an obvious one. Physicality advantage, obvious one. I've been all over RDA as the pick, but it's just a little bit of too wide of a line, right? You're not going to be money line in that one, but we will read the odds off in 1 second. First, we got the face-off. Barberena with a little gut, doesn't really have much of a frame on him, whereas RDA is pretty compact and strong, and I think in the grappling, that's really where it shines. I think Barberena gets taken down, worked a bit on the ground, and I think Dos Anjos gets himself a clean win. Could see the submission too, kind of feeling like it might be a 30-27 though, like method of victory's blurry, right? It depends on what Barberena offers from the ground, and I don't think it'll be a ton. Dos Anjos minus 485, Barberena plus 450. Dos Anjos, high confident pick, but ultimately very, very, very wide line. And I don't love the props. Let's read them off, though. Dos Anjos by decision. I don't think these plus 700s are correct. I think it's around minus 120. And then Dos Anjos to win submission, plus 335. Dos Anjos by KO, upwards of plus 515. Dos Anjos inside a distance, plus 190. I think parlay piece Dos Anjos. And it probably goes over that 1.5 rounds. I think that Barberena can stay in there for at least 7.5 minutes. He's game as hell, and he's definitely coming to fight, but RDA is just too good for him, and RDA gets his hand raised. Dos Anjos for the win. And let's jump to the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel. It's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Kevin Holland throwing down. I'm going to pick Kevin Holland. I've been picking him all week. Him and Wonderboy got a good connection going. There's a lot of respect between these two guys. And I mean, I actually like to see it. And I think Kevin Holland will shine in a fight like this, as will Wonderboy. But the distance, man. Kevin Holland's a lot taller and longer. I think he's got the speed edge. He's got the youth advantage. Kung Fu versus karate. I'm riding with Kung Fu in this one here because Kevin Holland does have that Kung Fu background. There's the face-off. A lot of respect and love between these guys, which is awesome, right? And this is a great strikers main event. They're not going to grapple. It's going to be stand-up, and I think somebody's going unconscious, and I'm going to have to say I think that somebody is going to be Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I think Holland stops him, and especially a straight shot is a real possibility. And if Wonderboy's hurt, he doesn't have the fallback of grappling. I do think Kevin Holland has superior ground skills to Wonderboy, at least offensively, definitely jiu-jitsu-wise. Obviously, the wrestling is kind of a whole. Neither guy great wrestlers, but defensively, Thompson has been good in the past. Holland to win, money line, minus 157 best value, plus 156 for Wonderboy. As far as props in this one, Holland by KO, what's that at? Plus 175. Over a round and a half, minus 225. I do think it probably goes into the third. I'm thinking third round knockout, and Kevin Holland said that same thing. I'm riding with Kevin Holland to beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and we'll see what's next for both these guys after. For Wonderboy, that might be all she wrote. But for Kevin Holland, I mean, he's still a viable contender and definitely fun fights on the horizon as far as the welterweight division goes. Love this matchup. Amazing card. Sweet main event to cap things off. And let's finish it out with the parlays. let's talk about some parlays to play here. Now, after seeing fighters on the scales, I'm going to add Niko Price to the slate. I'm feeling confident that he's going to do it. He looked really good, and I think he's coming ready to win. Marc Diakiese, plus 135 for these two. I think they're going to come through. Looking to add a little more steam to it, I think RDA is safety first, plus 175. And if you added in Valdéz dog money, plus 650. I think this could be a sneaky play right here. A real sneaky play. Scott Holtzman, I think, could win plus 1,000. If we take him out and we add it in, do we add in the side of Nicolau? Plus 856 if we add him. That gives us a lot, and I do think he wins. I like this one right here. I think this is a good way to play it. More realistic, but still lottery ticket type numbers. But if you do want to start going absolutely bananas with it and throw some more risk out there, you add in Kevin Holland plus 1,400. If you want to add more, you add Hot Sauce Holtzman plus 2,261. Straight fighter plays. This is nuts, and I do think there's a chance it all comes through, but, somebody, can fumble that bag. I don't think it's Niko Price, though, man. I'm feeling good about him, and I like Niko Price Diakiese a ton on that play. Some good bets to potentially make, some great fights that we're about to witness. Stay on the safer side with your bets and your parlays. Bet intelligently. Enjoy the hell out of these fights. Join me for the Fight Companion. I will be live for the full UFC Orlando card. Make sure you guys tune into the show. I'm not going to the event. I know it's close to me, but I'm staying right here to be with you guys and give that live stream. So tune into that Fight Companion. Smash the likes here. Show some love. If you're new, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the picks. Definitely let me know some parlays that you guys are playing too. Much love to everybody watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everyone.